Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Venus making a square, opposition, or inconjunct aspect to one's natal ascendant. When we're talking about transits that involve Venus, this could be about love, enjoyment, money, values, possessions, resources, self-worth. And when transit Venus is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal ascendant, well, this may manifest in love, enjoyment, money, values, our self-worth, self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves may conflict with the physical body, our appearance. We might not be overly appeased with how we look at this time. It can be, if this is in Capricorn, for example, your ascendant's in Capricorn as an example, it might be an overly orthodox or conventional look. Maybe you might start feeling, well, why don't I look, a little bit more, maybe more interesting or a little bit more unique in my dress wear as an example, or Aries, as an example, the natal sun is in Aries. It might be overly, being thin, or, Aries could have that spare, lean body. Aries rising, I should say. Pisces might be overly disheveled, or at least that's how, you might think of yourself if you have, as far as a disheveled appearance, or overly heavy in some cases if you do have a Pisces ascendant. Now, the thing about this is as well, keep in mind that the ascendant is also connected with the physical body. Sometimes I would say this transit could manifest in not getting the funds that might be tied into maybe a physical issue or debilitation. Maybe it requires spending more than you anticipated. Where the ascendant is also connected with the self, and it could just be matters pertaining to the self in general, self-interest that you need money for, and maybe it's just harder to come by at this time. Now also too, there might be issues at this time with self-worth, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, maybe affecting your outlook on life in a more adverse way. If your ascendant, say, is in Capricorn, your outlook may already be somewhat negative and pessimistic and overly cautious. And if you have issues, if you have transit, Venus making an adverse aspect to it, well, it might actually exacerbate that, because Venus is again associated with self-worth, self-esteem, and how we feel about ourselves. The ascendant is also connected with our vitality and energy. So it might be at times, in some cases, it could be our, relationships that we're involved in. It could be, romantic ones, or it could be simply significant friendships. Might be taking more of a toll and maybe more taxing on the physical body, the energy level that a person may have at this time. The ascendant is also associated with new starts, new beginnings. So it can be a time where you might not, expressing your sentiments on new beginnings. You might not really want to do this at this time, or it can be where this, if there is money that's needed to begin something new, if you're trying to join some kind of league or a team, as an example. Say if the ascendant is in Sagittarius, maybe it's something sports related. It could be something, or even higher education. It might be something where the funds may not be readily there for you. Keep in mind too that the ascendant is also connected, could be connected with a grandparent, people that were prominent in your early childhood. So maybe you don't really, there could be where, you may not necessarily enjoy the time with these people as much as usual right now. Remember, Venus is about our enjoyment, what we love. Maybe it's harder to express those sentiments with those people at this point in time, more so than usual. It could also be a time too where, when you look at this as well, the first house can also be connected with our defense mechanisms. So it could be a lover or some, important friendship that you're with might be making you more defensive, bringing out the defense mechanisms that might be negative. Say if your ascendant is in Taurus, as an example, it might be expressing an overly stubborn or obstinate nature, an unyielding nature, as a defense mechanism at this time, as an example. So, anyway, now another thing, one way, reiterating what I said previously, another way this may manifest, this could be about not necessarily being enamored or loving your appearance, the physical body. It could be, let's say, if the ascendant is in Pisces, going back to that, it could again be a very disheveled maybe appearance, or somebody overly heavy, or even a pale kind of countenance. Somebody has a Cancer ascendant, that could be, very pale complexion as well, as another example. Um, Relationships at this time may conflict with your new beginnings. Say if the ascendant is in Aries, as an example, it might be, some beginnings connected with self-defense or welding or firefighting, surgery. Um, those are some things that could be some, profession that might be associated with one's head, you could say. Maybe it's helmet design. Another thing too is that there might be, difficulty. It might be more of an arduous task trying to find enjoyment in new beginnings at this time. Now, say if the ascendant is in Aquarius, as an example, it might be some new beginnings connected with astronomy or astrology, computers, electronics, innovation, aerospace, maybe even building model rockets in some cases, humanitarian or altruistic endeavors. Another thing too, and it might be harder to express your sentiments and feelings outwardly more so than usual. Now, because remember, the Venus can be connected with feelings and sentiments. The ascendant is what we can readily, naturally express and project outwardly. Now, let's say, for example, if transit Venus is in Gemini, it might be very manifold, wide divergence of feelings, but they may also be superficial ones as well. And Leo, Venus and transit Venus and Leo may be a little bit more demonstrative and more, it's really more boisterous, loud, expressing the feelings in a very loud, boisterous, and more demonstrative manner, perhaps, as another example. Now, there also may be some issues with the throat, the neck, the lower back, could be kidneys, the thyroid, because this is all associated anatomically with Venus, and it may have an adverse effect on your vitality and energy, because the ascendant can be connected with that. Now, let's say, for example, if the ascendant is in Leo, it might even be very near indefatigable, or inexorable energy may even be impacted by this. If your ascendant is in Pisces, as another example, your energy and vitality may not be abundant to begin with, and then if you have, if you're having these issues that could be, Venus related, then of course that might even exacerbate that and might really deplete your energy. Now, another thing, and if, say, the ascendant is in Taurus, it could be very latent energy. Taurus, of course, could have very latent energy behind powers of their very strong, robust endurance. Now, another thing is, this could also be about money and possessions. May have a little bit more difficulty in coming to you at this time, more so than usual. Now, money and possessions are associated, with Venus, of course. The ascendant, of course, is that self, that physical body, so you might have a little bit harder time obtaining them at this time, more so than usual. Or it could even be that a relationship that you may be involved in, or even a significant friendship, may be a little bit out there. You're having, that they might be really away from you at this time, I would say, especially with the opposition aspect. Now, And also too, keep in mind the physical issues I was describing before with Venus. I would say that could be especially true with the inconjunct aspect to the ascendant, because inconjuncts can often manifest in health-related issues. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.